Hey tankers, this is Pearlmam, making amateurs out of noobs. I've been away for a while, but I'm back, and I'm in my artillery, my GW Panther. And I had a really good match in this game, and I thought it was incredible the experience I got. And I think it's a really good example of how to play artillery, of general artillery strategy. So, artillery strategy, some of you might be cringing. Some of you think that artillery is just a bunch of clickers, and there is no strategy artillery. Well, clicking is, I consider, more of a skill. So where to click and how to click and when to click. That's kind of like a skill. But strategy is something else, and there is a little bit of artillery strategy. There really isn't that much strategy, but this point is really, really important, and it could be the difference between a win or a loss. And of course, I said this in my last artillery video. A lot of you guys despise artillery, and I think you should just forget about your hatred for them and embrace the fact that they are going to be there. Artillery will be here till the end of this game, and so you might as well embrace it and learn how to play against them. And watching videos like this would be a good way to learn what artillery is thinking when they're killing you. So anyway, let's get started. The GW Panther is a tier 7 German artillery, and it's got 1200 damage, HE damage, and 88 pen. Now for those of you who don't know how HE works, I don't have the formula offhand, but basically it damages anything. It'll damage any tank, but the amount of damage that is dealt is determined by the armor of that tank. So for example, in this particular tank, which has 1200 damage, HE damage, if I hit the front armor of, if I hit the front of a heavily armored tank, it'll do like 300 damage. But if I hit the rear of a medium tank, it'll do like 1000 damage. So that's really important, and that does come into strategy a little bit. So let's start talking strategy. So there's 3 things of strategy, okay? The third one is probably the most important. Well, they're all important, but let me just go over them. So the first point of strategy is placement, where to go. So basically, you need to learn each map and figure out where to go in artillery. So here is a really good spot where I am. If you look on the mini-map, I'm right in this corner, the K1 corner, and that's a really good spot. So you pick a spot that maximizes your coverage. So from this spot, if you look on the mini-map, I can cover over here. I can hit anywhere in here, basically, anywhere in here, and I can hit tanks coming here. So this is a really good coverage spot. And also, more importantly, it has a really good angle on these guys coming here. The second point is anticipation. So I anticipate the enemies coming from over here, and enemies always come from over here. So I choose a spot that in this corner, this allows me to have an angle, if you look on the mini-map, on almost all of these tanks right now. So that's a pretty good spot for me. So quick, from diverting from strategy, we're going to talk about clicking skills. Another thing that you should do is you choose a target and always make sure your reticle is closed. It's closed as much as it can. So notice my reticle is huge right now after the shot. I don't have a shell loaded, but you never shoot at tanks with your reticle this far open. Always wait for it to be closed. And of course I hit that tank right there. So that was a good thing. So the third thing is strategy, and I'm going to pause it right here because this is a good example. The third, and a really tough thing to learn in my opinion, is target priority. So who am I going to shoot? There's 6 targets here. I can have shots on all of them. Who do I shoot? Now that's a really tough choice, and that's really important. That is the difference between a win and a loss, is target prioritization. So generally most people try to say, choose the most threatening target. Well, who's the most threatening here? I really don't know. They're all kind of aiming, and they're all kind of threatening in my point. I kind of think that these guys are most threatening. And so I kind of start aiming at these guys. But besides that, it's still pretty tough to choose who's most threatening. And so I have 3 points that I have of target prioritization. the first point is like weighted the most. The second point is weighted a little less, and the third is weighted even less than that. And you choose between these 3 points, these 3 prioritization points, by who's the most threatening. And so I'm going to talk about that. So the first priority is pick an easy target. Generally, that means that they're not moving and there's no cover. So, for example, these guys aren't moving. So they're an easy target, obviously. Moving targets are harder targets. And they're wide open. So these are the easiest targets here. They're pretty wide open and they're not moving. Now, for example, let's take a look at this tank right here. Right here, he's not moving, but I have a shot right here. You can see by the green line right here, and it goes into the tank. But here, he's covered. So you can see by it's green, and then it turns to red. And so I don't have a shot on his back. So he's a hard target. Targets that are in the open and not moving, you have a low chance of hitting them anyway. Consider how big this reticle is. So you really need to maximize your chance of hitting targets. If you're not doing damage, you're worthless. So you might as well do damage to anybody. And so that's number 1, and that's generally like weighted a lot more than any of the other points. The second point is to maximize your damage. So I don't have a good example in this particular case, but if you have let's say you have 2 tanks, the front armor of a heavy tank and the rear armor of a medium tank, shoot at the medium tank. The front armor tank, you'll only do like 300 damage. The rear of the medium tank, you'll do like 1,000 damage. So that's the second priority. And the reason being is any tanks, any of your ally tanks that are in that area, to deplete 1,000 HP, it might take 3 shots, 3 or 4 shots, which will take 20-30 seconds to deplete 1,000 hit points. So by you maximizing your HD damage, you allow your your ally tanks to finish off those other tanks, to quickly finish off those tanks. And that's kind of my strategy on that. Of course, you know, if the heavily armored tank is more threatening, you should shoot him. The third priority is finish off low HP tanks. And I start to try to do that here. And so he's a low HP tank, and so I really want to finish him off, as opposed to killing, you know, prioritizing hit point damage. And I'll talk about that. So let's play it, and we'll see. So right now, I consider these tanks are easier targets, but I consider him more of a threat. If he pushes, he's alone. I don't know if you know the map, but he's in like a little valley there. These guys cannot help him. Nobody can help him, and so I prioritize these targets, and I prioritize him because I think he needs to die because he's low HP. So I take my third priority. Which is killing low HP tanks. And so here I take a really stupid shot. I take a shot at a tank that's not even hidden. That's not even there. But I prioritized my third addendum, which is low HP tanks. I should have just aimed at these guys because they're barely moving, and I could have at least hit something. So that was a mistake. They pushed and they killed this guy. So here I'm still prioritizing. These are easier targets, but I think these guys are the most threatening, so that's what I choose. And of course, once again, I choose to try to kill that tank because I think he's the most threatening, and I miss again. So you see, I missed him completely. So I should have picked. So that's why number 1 is easy targets. I should be aiming at easy targets. You know, it's like, yeah, he's the most threatening, but I'm just missing him. He's a hard target, so you should prioritize easy targets. So he's a relatively easy target. He's moving, but the way he's moving forward and back, and especially on that hill, allows me, it's an easy shot. The way the trajectory is, no matter how he moved forward and back, is an easy trajectory. So I hit him. So now we're depleted over here, and I'm going to pause it. And so we're in bad shape. We're down 5 tanks, and they are winning over here. And so this is where I prioritize is the dangerous part. So I continue to aim here because in the north, if you look at the mini map, we have a lot of tanks there, and I hope that they're doing well. So right now I prioritize an easy target. This IS-3 is barely moving, and I can murder him. So he's barely moving, and he's a low HP, and I can finish him off. So I do. Maybe I should have tried to maximize my damage by killing that T-30 that was up there, because he's a slow target, but I really wanted to pick a no-moving target and finish off a tank. So that was what I did. So here I'm just trying to figure out who's who and who I can aim at. So right now I can't shoot anybody down there, so I go up to this OBJ. Generally TDs where he is don't move. Look at it, he's relying on his armor. So he's just not moving, and so I can shoot him, and I hit him. And you can indicate that by the fact that that shell disappeared in him. Even though he was disappeared, since there's no explosion, that means that that I hit him. So that's some feedback there. So here, there's no targets in the south, and there's a target up here. Targets up in the north. So I switch flanks and wait for the reticle to be closed. And he's in the open. He's my target. So I'm going to go for him. So here's where I take a little risky shot. So I really had a bad chance of hitting my own tank, but my own tank was going to die anyway in that case. So I decided to shoot him, and RNG helped me out there. But notice that I hit the back of a medium tank, and I did all 900 damage. I maximized my damage there, so that was really, really cool. And I bet you he's really, really upset after that. He's probably swearing at home. So I have no targets. He's well hidden, and he's staying hidden. Our TDs are really doing a good job here. They're really holding back like 5 tanks. So we're doing pretty well. So I prioritize this tank because he's in the open, and so a perfectly aimed shot. He's in the open, and look what happens. I miss. So even in cases where he's an easy target, you still have a chance of missing like that. It's really likely that you'll miss. You gotta maximize your chance, and there's nothing I can do there. So I'm still aiming at him because I assume that he's gonna pop out. I anticipate him moving, but then I anticipate, well, that T-30's on the mini-map. I anticipate him being somewhere right here. See the T-30? So I anticipate him popping up soon, and sure enough, he does. Anticipation is everything. There he is. My reticle's closed pretty quick because I was aiming relatively there. Boom. So, you know, you got to wait for the reload. I'll speed it up a little bit. So this is where it becomes somewhat of a stalemate. Anticipation, and I anticipated incorrectly, which is a shame, and so I don't have a shot. But notice that I remember where he is. I know kind of where he's going to hang out. Remember that. So now I notice a tank down here. That same guy. So I start aiming at him. He's an easy target, and I still miss. I'm telling you, it's really hard to hit, so you gotta pick those easy targets. So I anticipate him popping out again. Sure enough, he does. He's an easy target again. And finally, I hit him. 3rd time's a charm. And he has a nice comeback. 3 times the noob. Anyway, there's an OBJ in the open. He's moving, but first off, he's my only target, and he's moving easily. He's moving back, and that really is an easy way to aim. You know, you just aim behind him, and the way your trajectory is, you can hit him. So you know, long reload, you got to maximize your hitting potential. So once again, this is just clicking, you know. But here's something. I'm going to slow this down. Remember, I have no targets right now. So I decide to shoot at where I think that T-30 is. And sure enough, he's right there. That is pretty lucky on my part. He hasn't been spotted in like 3 minutes. And I just figured he would still be there. So I shoot, and he's dead. So that was pretty incredible, and that's something to learn. Take blind shots. Take blind shots. So here you go. I'm prioritizing this 704 because he was the easier target. He was moving towards me, and I could have finished him off. So he met 2 of the priorities, and so I was aiming at him, but somebody finished him off first. And now this IS-8 is here, and I tracked him. So he was my, you know, at that moment he was my priority. And so somebody finishes him off. I go to my next target. He's my new priority. It looks like he's flanking that T-28. And he's definitely a priority, because if that T-28 dies, I'm dead. T-28's doing well. I do a blind shot. I do actually hit him. I do 100 damage. So notice that my shell didn't disappear, so it wasn't a direct hit. I just splash damaged him. Yeah, you see his hit points are depleted. He bounces. The Indian Panther actually has a little bit of turret armor. Yeah. So he bounced. And just waiting for my thing to go and just make sure I aim at him correctly. Here's another shot. It's a hard target, and for some reason it went to the right there, so that sucks. So anyway, it's a 3-3 match. It's pretty close. That 704 is in danger if that Indian Panzer comes and flanks around this way on the mini-map. So I'm just waiting for that IS-3 to do something stupid. Do something stupid. Let's see, is he a good player? No, 47%. And notice how I anticipated him moving up there, and I shot him. So you gotta prioritize that. Don't have a shot on this guy. So I start to move. Now notice that there's 2 minutes left. So we have to start moving, and at this point we all have to move. So the strategy here is basically we won't get there to cap in time. T-28 and the OBJ are kind of slow, and I'm slow. So we have to find him. So they're going up this way, and if he's anywhere here, the Arty, we'll find him, and I'm going to go an opposite way, and if I see him, I'll have a chance to kill him. I spot him. And I immediately go into aiming, and this is a tough shot here. Notice how the hill's in the way, so a lot of your shot, he's kind of behind that hill, so my trajectory will just barely graze him if I hit him. And I can't seem to aim in the right spot, but there it is. It's green all the way through, and I aim and kill him, and that's it. It was a really long game, and I hope you enjoyed it. Because I did show those strategy, and basically those are the only strategy. Just placement, place yourself in a good spot, anticipate where the enemy's going to be so your reticle's closed when they do something, and then target prioritization. That's everything. So here's the sum up of the game. Here's my experience. I got over 1,600 experience, and that's nominal experience. That's pretty incredible. Gore's medal, high caliber, Top Gun, all that stuff. I did incredible amount of damage, and if you look at this damage, basically if I wasn't there, we would have lost. If I didn't get good shots in or prioritize my targets well, we wouldn't be there. And that's all that artillery is there to do, is to do damage, deplete the HP pool. Think of it like that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. That's a really good, thorough artillery tutorial and a really good match. RNG did help me there, more or less. It definitely helped me on that Centurion shot. But anyway, thanks for watching.